Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Damon Speaks. Of course, I am the Commissioner Angela Thomas Smith. I am the host of Walk in Purpose with Angela over on the ONE Dynasty. I am under D.A.M.O.N Network, which is Determined and Motivated Online Network. I'm super excited today to have the opportunity to share with you guys yet another host over on our network. I tell you, I took this job. I took this job with great honor and humbleness because I tell you, it is an experience to be able to bring your fellow host on and share their vision, their mission, and the purpose of their shows. I tell you, we are given a platform to share and to share in our truth, not the truth of somebody else, the next person or the next person or the next person, but our truth for where we are. So I'm honored today. I tell you, I came on the network in April, and I have truly enjoyed being a part of this amazing network. Um, for those that have not had the opportunity to meet my guest today, I tell you, he's an amazing man with a wealth of knowledge. He has a show called We Will Aware You. And I tell you, he definitely will aware you. I tell you, I have been awakened on a lot of things since I became a part of the network. Great opportunity. So I'm not going to, y'all know how I am. I'll talk, but I'm going to move out the way and I'm going to bring my guest up. And I'm going to allow him the opportunity to share just a little bit about who he is and his journey to becoming a broadcaster with the ONE network. So let me bring him up. Welcome, welcome,
Hey,
welcome, HUNI
hey,
ATUN, aka the Magic Man. I tell you, I did not really give you justice when I introduced you because I failed to recognize you as the internet, well, international internet Hall of Fame inductee for 2020. An amazing accomplishment. I tell you, you are an amazing man. I've had the privilege of meeting you in April when I became a part of this amazing network. I'm going to move out the way and give you an opportunity to share with those that are tuning in live. They're going to come on. They're coming on slowly but surely. That's how they do. But those that are going to jump on and those that will hear this replay, the opportunity to find out exactly who HUNI Bakatun is, aka the Magic Man.
wow, what an introduction. All right, a little small correction though. I'm not elected yet. Well, I am elected, but I'm not inducted yet. So I think that's going to take place, what, December 4th, I think.
Yes, you
Uh,
are elected and you will be
yeah,
inducted into
yeah,
December, I think he said
4th, I
December
believe.
1st, December 4th.
4th,
Okay.
4th, I think. Yeah, yeah. All
But
right.
great accomplishment. Great accomplishment,
Thank you,
nevertheless.
thank you. All right, my name is Huni Barkatun, aka the Magic Man. Huni Barkatun is my travel name. Um, being third generation from the land of Nuba by way of my grandfather. Um, one of the things that throughout this journey, in order for me to get to broadcasting, excuse me a minute, in order for me to get to broadcasting, I have been duly prepared to go into religion the way that, unlike the way that most people have went into religion. It became a whole entire life for me from the time I was born all the way up until 27, close to 36 years of my life. Um, Even though I was taken from synagogue to church to mosque, and I had to do it, I was pretty much learning what was done, what most people learn, be it a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But in my personal life, it became so detailed to the point where I had to study the languages of the scriptures. I had uh, to also acknowledge the customs and the culture. It was like twofold. It was almost like I was living two lives at once. And unlike the average American, African American, that has been so used to what Europeans have actually given us, unlike that, because this is where a lot of people at times they have some issues with me, is because they don't know anything other than what Europeans had allowed them to learn. And by taking time to do that, when I say Europeans, I ain't just talking about over here in America, especially when it comes to religion as we know it. But I give thanks to me being not only a descendant from ancient lands by way of my grandfather, or ancient land over here in America through my mother, who links back to the Cherokees and the Black Hawk Native American. Okay, I had to take time to be able to learn our way of life before the European invasion. So, being that most people of African descent or Native American descent who lost all sense self in time, it was a part of all in all's will for me to be able to be raised, to be able to not only acknowledge the glories of our past, but for me to go into what most people accepted as norm and be able to go into that and be able to offer them certain truths or mysteries, as it's been called, and see if they can be able to make a conscious decision on themselves, not so much based on what's right or wrong, but to be able to see if what's being taught today is that how it originated. And that's where the questions come in at, because a lot of the things that we have been led to believe is really based on ancient concepts. So now back to me introducing myself. I'm a master sound therapist, master sound healer, and grand architect of the universe. Oh, now I can't hear you. I can't hear
I
you at all.
I had myself muted.
Okay.
Um, that I was told to do that sometime to kind of cut back on some of the noise, so that's why I did it, because I want to make sure the sound was okay. Okay, so my
Okay.
question to you is,
Mhm.
when did you decide? Okay, you said that you've been doing this for how long? How long? How long have you been studying?
Pretty much my whole life. I'm 53 years young now. But Operation Nighthawk and Operation Takeover, which goes into another thing, faithfully, and I'm pretty much on your time on how detailed we can get into that. There's a difference between religion and Operation Nighthawk and Operation Takeover, because that's beyond religion. This is where the individual, or me as an individual part of all, as I like to say, all praises due to all in all, who's in all, through all, above, and encompassing all. Operation Nighthawk and Operation Takeover is no longer becoming a part of all, but becoming one of those things that exist in all. So I'm not just a part of it, I become one with all, having my own real life experience, being able to not only acknowledge, the things of the past and the present and anticipated future. That's what makes it different.
For someone like myself,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of things I don't know,
Okay.
and just to be honest, some of the things you're saying right now, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I am a person that wants knowledge. I want to know. That's what I seek out the. I'm the type of person that you can't just tell me something. I want to know the history behind it. Because we are in a world where things have been manipulated and have been written by whom for whoever to do whatever they wanted to do with it. And I seek out the truth. And I have been drawn to some of your teachings. I listen to you as a co-host to all of your shows. And a lot of the things that you speak on is things that people need to be woke to, like really need to be woke to. And I thank you for what you're doing. But for somebody like me, how can you help us tap into that part of us that makes us really want to seek out the truth? Because it's something that has to touch you in a way that makes you want to know. What was that for you? What made you say, okay, I can't do this no more. This is not me. This is this I can't do this no more. I need to know the truth. I need to know my truth. Because something woke you up and something made you want to seek out the truth. What was it?
Well, I had my own real life, what most people would call a religious experience. The same way that when we read throughout the scriptures where a person such as Moses received a calling from God, from what most people is used to that word. I had that real life experience. And that's one of the things that I do my best to convey for myself to the listening audience is many of us, we can take all of what's written in the scriptures. Some people have faith in it, some people don't. And what I tend to do is say, okay, the same thing is happening in this day and time. Um, to put it simple, not only was I raised as a Nubian Islamic Hebrew, being able to acknowledge the ancestors from what they're calling the Middle East, what's falsely being called Africa, right, in various parts of it, right. That's where my strongest root base of what most of us know as Christianity actually came from. Now, unlike in today's standards, when most people think of a Christianity, they're going to link it back to the Vatican. They're going to link it back to Europe. And it didn't start there. The original, what most people consider as Christianity, took place in ancient Nuba and various places, what most people call Egypt, be it Upper Egypt to what we call the South, or Lower Egypt to what we call North. That's where the most ancient form of Christianity take place. The virgin birth, the anointed son, all of these pretty much concepts that we have accepted in this day and time is so ancient to the point where we can't really give it an accurate time because it's been in our culture and in our history for such a long time. So again, not only was I born and raised as a Nubian Islamic Hebrew, I had my own personal experience that happened various points and times in my life. But let's use this example. In the church, there's a thing they call when people are born again. You familiar with that concept, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, well, my born again took place on June 13th, 1985. It was on a Thursday. Okay, when I was awoken after 12 o'clock midnight, is when the voice that I heard, not necessarily from the outside of me like you see in Hollywood, but the voice on the inside of me told me to wake up, waking up out of my sleep at 12:30. And it said, wake up and take this message to the people who need it the most. And of course, I stayed up for the rest of the night because now I'm trying to wrestle with something. I'm hearing my tone, but I never heard it in this full detail before. That was the beginning of it in order for me to start the changes of certain things I have became accustomed to. That was my born again. That was my second resurrection, as a lot of people call it. And from that point, which was on a Thursday now. Now, let me backtrack for a moment. I'm the not just love child, but I guess I would be the love child, but my mother and father was married when I was being conceived or when I was delivered on this side on October 5th, which is also a Thursday. Okay. So I was born twice, each time on a Thursday, and one was in 1967, which is why I'm 53 years young. By that time period, and then that will make me 35, going on 36. The second time as I like to put it, that I was born again. So there's two things that's happening at the same time. Now, what happened with the second one is a lot of the languages and stuff I was learning to be able to read the scriptures, be in Aramaic or Syriac or Hebrew or what they call in Arabic. All of that started to finally make sense after all those years. Because when you travel in and out of the country, the languages and stuff change. This is why a lot of people who migrate to America, they're able to be a lot more successful, because over here in America, most of us have been mained by what they're calling English, which is really, really American, our form of it,
Yeah,
right?
because it's
So
not
by
real
us,
English.
right, it's not even real English that they're speaking in English, right? So most of the time when ancestors or anyone else who's traveling and migrating into America, they come speaking more than one language.
Mm-hmm.
And language is key. And to put it simple, the best humble advice I can I can offer to anyone is you got to get beyond just reading. Many people read. Can you hear me? So it's not that people are not reading, it's a lack of comprehension. There's a difference. People have read for years, but they don't comprehend the scriptures in which they have been taught to believe in it. They don't really comprehend certain words. And here's where the trap comes in at. The trap comes in at because that's why it's called spell binding or spell cast. It's in how we spell. Did you catch that? The spells, you got SPELL, the way that we spell certain things, right? And then you know what most people consider something demonic. They say they want to cast a spell on something. It's
Mm-hmm.
spelled the exact same word way. So
Mm-hmm.
not only phonetically do it sound the same, but you got two different meanings. Do you catch where I'm going so far? So so my most humble advice is get beyond just reading for the sake of reading. This is what people have been doing for 85 to 95% of their life. So
You
when
know
a
what?
person like me, well, I'm sorry.
I wanted to share something with you because
Mhm.
we was sharing last night different words on after the show last night on the broadcast,
Mhm.
and you talking about words now, and it's not strange, but we talking about this today, and for the last couple of months, like my spirit has been like being tormented by these words. Like I ain't even gonna say tormented because it's been a good way. Because like I've been seeing words different, like words that we see every day, words that we've been using for billions and billions of years, probably. You know, I'm seeing them in a different light. It's like my spirit been breaking them down, like the letters. For example, power broke down what the P mean, the O, the W, the E, the R. Never saw it like that because we don't really take time to really cipher through things and truly get an understanding. And when we don't know, we too stuck on pride and ego and attitude. We don't even want to ask and get an understanding. And that's what's happening. Um, he been breaking words down to me like crazy, like literally, like letter for letter, in like paragraphs. Like my next book is just gonna be a book of
Wow.
words with just breaking down with. Look, I've been working already,
I see.
been on it. I ain't. I think I slept probably about 2 hours last night.
Wow.
When he worked with my mind, I have to work. I have to get it out because if I hold it in, it just it does no good. But
Right.
I thank you. I thank you for what you're doing. But I want to know because I know this had to be different. It had to take you to a place because I know with me, you know, with my spiritual journey, it hasn't been easy. I've been criticized. I've been called hypocrites. I've been called this. I've been called everything but what I believe, and that's a child of God. And I know that there have been backlash. I want to know, before all this, what was your life like? What was the things that brought you joy? Me, I played basketball. I like working. I went to college. I work with people with disabilities. I just like people, and I used to do a lot of different events. I started the organization. So, what was your life like before you chose to walk in your purpose? Because this is definitely your purpose. So, what was it like before?
Hey, you be asking some great questions. I was only 17 years old when I was getting ready to graduate high school. I came out um, in June of 1985. Now, keep in mind, I mentioned that my second resurrection or born again took place June 13th, 1985. It was on a Thursday. Then when I graduated, which was on a Friday, what was normal for me is like, many youth during that time uh, used to, we was getting into hip hop. I wasn't at that point in time where I was a recording artist, but I was just getting familiar with it. Used to love music, you know. Music always been a part of our history, our customs, and culture on both sides of my family. Um, but we have similarities when it comes to basketball. Basketball was really one of my first loves, and then like any other youth, a male child, we become attracted to the opposite sex, which is females, of course, you know. So my daily was spend time with some of my friends, and a lot of times, which is when I want to say friends, my family, because I have very few friends. So most of my family, which would be my brothers, most of the times that we would go as a group, you would either see 8 or 9 of us just walking together, traveling together, or it would be, you know, 2 of us, 3 of us, or so on and so forth. But very few of us walked alone, especially during that day and time, which was really, really one of the best of times. I don't know if we have time enough to talk about it today. Perhaps they might, if I do well enough, we might have to open up for a part two. Okay. But basketball was, one of my earliest or first loves, I like to say.
Well, of course, I played basketball, and it was not something that I thought I would be doing. That was something that really caught me off guard, but it was something that allowed me to be able to be in a place that I am today because somebody believed in me. I never thought about playing basketball. Never wanted to play basketball. My PE teacher put me on the JV team. D. Davis, Monica Denise Davis. I'll never forget that white lady. She put me on the basketball team, JV. She wasn't even the JV coach. She was the varsity coach. But she put me on the JV team. I didn't know how to dribble. I didn't know how to do nothing. I was I was terrible. Every time I touched the ball, they blew the whistle. The end of my JV season, eighth grade. Remind you, I was in eighth grade.
Hmm.
I got moved to varsity to continue to play the rest of the school year because our JV season ended before varsity. So I got moved up to the varsity team and finished the season out with the varsity team. Remind you, the next year I was in ninth grade and I was starting against
Wow.
seniors. Never thought that would happen.
What position did you play?
I played the four, unfortunately. There was a couple of people taller than me.
Okay.
And I'm 5'11" and a half, almost 6 foot tall, but there was a couple of people
Really?
taller than me. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Well, there were a couple
Wow.
of people taller than me, and they got that spot. But I played the four, and when we was playing up against different teams, and depending on who played, sometimes I popped out and played the three. Um, but yeah, that was a great experience. It afforded me the opportunity to be able to go to college and experience some things that I probably would not have experienced. And I thank God for my coach, the lady that saw it in me, because if she never saw that in me, I never would have started playing because I never thought about playing basketball. And then to think
Wow.
that I have a cousin that plays professional Basketball. Chris Paul is my cousin. My
Wow.
great grandfather and his great grandmothers are brothers and sisters. And you know, but nevertheless, this is not about me. This is about you. And
Oh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna have to bring you on my show. We will aware you, listening audience. If you catch this live or direct, yeah, I'm looking forward to you coming in on We Will Aware You as well.
oh
Let
yeah.
me share a quick story right quick. I comprehend up to coaches. Uh, and of course I write about it, but I'm gonna do my best to give a condensed. I didn't know how good I was until again, I don't know what's going on with a Thursday. It just did happen to be on a Thursday that I played community league. I started late, so I didn't play what they considered school ball, high school. So I played in the community league. The local boys club, the park and rec, and everything like that, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it came down to like a county, like a 5 or 6 county tournament, and we normally practice on a Thursday, take a break, rest that Friday, get ready for the tournament that Saturday. So at that time, I was hanging out, and I remember the coach said, normally we don't practice on a Friday. I want to win this game, so we need to throw in a little extra practice because some of the teams in which y'all are playing, we need that extra practice in because we want to win this game. So guess who didn't show up to practice that Friday? So when I show up that Saturday, my coach just looked at me, very stern, similar to someone else that's familiar. Uh, he didn't have a bald head like the CEO, uh, DJ Olasky, the honeybee. But anyway, so when I showed up that Saturday, he just looked at me. He said, I got to bench you right. And this is what I want the listening audience, be it the ones who's catching this live or when it's archived. I really, really want y'all to get what I'm trying to convey here. All right. Um, so anyway, I had to, throughout the whole entire tournament, from when it started towards the evening, I think my team played at least about 6 games without, I had to ride the bench the whole time. So it came up to my team, even though I still was riding the bench, and the other team who he wanted to get that extra practice in that Friday, right? So the whole we played 4 quarters. The first 2 quarters, my team could not get the ball past half court because they ran a full court press. You play organized ball, and I'm quite sure you're familiar with the full court press, right? So, and the coach was about to lose, because now he has to make a choice. My team was down. I think they had us down like 45 and I think 21 or something like that. So everybody's telling him, look, we know you want to win this game. So, and we know you want to teach him a lesson for him not practicing. So, what you going to do? Are you going to lose the game and teach him the lesson, or put him in, win the game, and then you get back to teaching him the lesson later? I don't want to give it away, but what do you think the coach did? I'm curious. I'm curious to see how, what do you think happened?
I know what he did. He wanted to win the game. He wanted to win the game because I know what my coach would have done. She would have put me in and made me run Bodine later.
So Ken, we
Oh
probably
yeah.
had the same coach. So what happened was third quarter, again, I rode the bench the whole day. At that time, I was about ready to go and just put on my dress clothes at that point. So, and I felt him coming. I'm looking down, and he stands in front of me. He said, you know what? You better win this game for me today. And I remember I stood up. And again, I didn't really know how good I was. And like I say this to my son, I say this to all of my sons, be it by blood or adopted. I say this to all of my daughters, be it by blood or adopted. You got to practice and practice and practice to whatever you're into, to the point where it becomes second nature, to the point where you don't have to. When it comes to mind-to-mind, hand-to-hand combat, or when I'm doing the knowledge, I did it so much. You got to remember, this was a part of my way of life to the point where it's second nature for me. So the same thing took place when it came to basketball. So when I stood up, this is when the crowd realized what was about to happen. The opposite team didn't know. So they see this little skinny dude get up, and of course they had to touch the desk to go check in, right? So the home team, they stood up and they was like, uh-oh. And everybody in the building like, uh-oh, right? So I remember my brother was my shooting guard. I got to get up to my brother. This is my only other brother on my mother's side, not my father's side, which goes into another story. So he was my shooting guard. I was the point guard. And you think the opposite end of the court, whatever our home court was, we had to start off at the opposite end to the point where they took the ball out, and we had a set play where my brother would be up under the goal and he would kick the ball to me. And when he did that, this little, probably weighed about 140 pounds, stepping out the shower at that time. 5'10", lightning fast at that time. And what I did is when I mastered the game of basketball and me being a point guard, I wanted to do things different. I didn't want to just learn how to dribble. I wanted to make sure that both of my hands was equally balanced, meaning
Yes.
I could dribble with either hand, shoot with either hand, couldn't jump with a leg, but because I couldn't jump and fly through the air, I had to compensate and concentrate on my shooting abilities to the point where I was able to shoot anywhere on the court. So it gave me the option, unlike the average person who's playing point guard, they either would be strong to the right or the left. So it would make it easy for a person like that to get trapped. They couldn't trap me is because they didn't know what hand I was going to use, which way I was going to shoot. Was I going to go in for a layup, like, or was I going to shoot it from the outside or whatever? So it really, really made me hard to guard. So
I'm
I remember
telling
I
you.
got it past I got it past half court. The first two guys from the other team, they didn't know what happened to them, man. They just like, they all they just saw was like a flash. So they was still in the back court, and we had a set play where I came across half court. When I make it past half court, I have the option to kick it to one of the forwards on the wing, right? Or kick it to the center, and they would kick it back to me. And most people speak about it. What's the name? Steph Curry or something like that. Well, my set play was the top of the chart. And I think the computer just froze. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, it looked like my computer just froze. I don't know. Am I moving or am I still?
No, I can hear you. You moving? You fine?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that was the first game. That was the first shot. And so by the end of third quarter, I was able to bring us within, I think, 5 points going into fourth quarter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like
So
that's
we ended up winning the game. But again, I feel for you coaches out there. You know, I'm 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 happy that we won the game. But now that I'm younger now, I'm 53 years young. I'm not sure if I would have made a decision like that. You know, I mean, because really, it really comes down to it. Sometimes you got to take an L or a loss in order for to teach somebody the lesson that they need to learn, which goes into why I always say a lesson is a step backwards. Because if you look at that word, less on, less is taken away from something, right?
hmm
So that's why I always call my shows and pretty much everything I do an advancement. And like the saying goes, most people repeat these lessons until you learn from it. When you learn from it, you'll be able to advance from
You taught me something today. See, that's what I'm talking about. Every time I tune in to you, I learn something new because you taught me something today.
it.
Less
Well, it's a
on.
two-way street. Yeah,
That's something.
less on.
Take away. Less
Yeah,
on.
lessons is really taken away from us, right? And it took years, trust me. It took a long time for me to get this on record because I wanted to make sure. And I've been a student of some of the greatest teachers living teachers. And I read a lot of indoctrination books and stuff like that, right? But all of them spoke about lessons. Even in school, you learn lessons, right? But with the science of becoming, I'm able to see these words for what it really is. And once you're able to see it with clarity, it gives you the option to not only comprehend it, but what you're going to do with it once you got that type of information. Are you going to stay stuck, or you're going to use it to your advantage,
So
use it to someone else's disadvantage? I mean, you got options there,
you do, and I'm an author, so I want to know when that book coming,
Oh,
because
it's two of them.
you,
I got
you
one published that's in London right now, and things go well. He's putting together a book. It's like a combination book, similar to how they put The Secret out. They had a variety of different authors all within this one book called The Secret, which is really came from us anyway.
mm-hmm.
Hollywood took it, and some of these other people used ancient science of Tremuse, 3-time great, and what they call in Tahuti, all of these stuff like that. That secret that they're talking about, that they made millions of dollars, came from our ancient science, or the ancient mysteries, or what most people call Egypt. Ain't no secret. That's been with us. That's who and what we are. So anyway, I'm gonna be a part of that book, and then I want to work with certain publishers, like as a sister, Miss E. Davis. Shout out to E. Davis of Strictly Business. And so I got two things that's happening that I'm getting ready to put. I got a variety of different books out, but what I want to do is concentrate on three, primarily: the Master's Way Perspective, the Science of Becoming Instead of Learning, and then um, the demographics in which I'm entering. My core base audience is the self-help community. This is where I got a 3-part book of. It's the same title, but it's different formats of it. It's called The Art of Focusing, but the first one is going to concentrate on the mental plane, for lack of a better word, because until I'm able to put certain things out there, so I'll be able to affect the way people think mentally, then people won't be able to comprehend the other two books. The second book will deal with the spiritual plane, where people have became indoctrinated or trapped into religion instead of spirituality, be able to explain both, right? And then that's actually the second book, and the third and final book would be The Art of Focusing, based on physical application on the steps that we can take to not only apply it to our life, but that's pretty much as a whole. And each one of those books is 333 pages apiece.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got some writing ahead of you.
Oh
So
yeah.
I have some questions I want to ask. I'm going to
Mhm.
post them on the screen so
Okay.
that you can see them. But I want to ask, why did you get into broadcasting?
Again, it was one of those life calling. I've been going through different communities, um, synagogues, church, mosque, as well as went in and out of prison. So I've been pretty much, working in the public for a long time. But it wasn't to the coming of the internet and social media that I started doing broadcasting. And shout out to Your Highness, Miss T is Queen. I used to post a lot of stuff on my page, but most people became familiar with the Magic Man, and I like to submit certain songs and photos and pretty much everything. I like to tell these stories if I'm going to post a song or whatever. And then thanks to the gentleman that came on the other night, I think you was on live and direct, when DJ Olasky had mentioned Mr. Larry Shepard. I used to work with him with VPN Radio. We used to have, again, I think it was on a Wednesday at the time. Well, we used to have a show that used to come on once a week. But I appreciate the great works in which he did. That was like the second stage. And then had one of those spiritual experiences where our CEO's mother contacted him, thankful to him being a faithful son to reach out to me. And then our story was made on May 4th of 2017.
So, what is the inspiration behind your show?
Inspiration came from our CEO, DJ Olansky, the Honeybee, who actually named that show. And part of his vision is to bring awareness, is to the best of my ability. And his mother contacted him from the other side. This one for you who doubt that when things end on this side, you think it's all over. It's not. His mother contacted him to contact me, and this is the same spiritual being that also contact me on a number of occasions. So
You
I
know what?
know life exists outside the body.
And you know
Okay.
what? I used to I used to question that, but now I don't question that because I lost both of my parents, and I know that my mother's visited me on several occasions,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it was nothing but my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And certain times I can smell a smell,
Mm.
and I know that it was something that reminded me of my mom. You know, my mom's been gone for years. My mom passed away 12 days after my 16th birthday.
Wow. Mm.
In April 13, 1991. I'll never forget that day.
Mm.
I found the 4-leaf clover the day before. And people be all this 4-leaf clover and all that. 4-leaf clover is supposed to be good luck, so they say.
Mm.
So they say. But what is good luck?
Mm. It's a good
What
question.
is luck? What is luck? Is there luck? I don't believe in luck.
You know.
I believe in coincidence. I don't believe. I believe everything is ordained. I believe that we're on a journey, and the things that um, happens in our life to either wake us up or to continue to grow and mold us. You know, that's what I believe. You know, I believe that the people that we come in contact in our life are for a reason in a season sometime, and that reason is to help grow us into who we're supposed to be on this journey. Because I've come to realize that that dash means something. That dash means something. I ain't always knew what that dash means. The beginning and the end. And that's the physical, you know. But are we preparing for the spiritual? But again, I'm not gonna get off and talking about we talking about you today. And
Okay.
we because I can get off on a whole nother conversation. But we were talking about the inspiration behind your show, and now I want to know why you chose to come over to ONE Dynasty, the best
Again,
network it is.
I agree. But again, not to sound like a cliche, but I pretty much answered that with the first question. You know, not only being called um, by DJ Lasky's mother, the mother of our network, right, and him, it's been part of my life calling anyway. I'm going to do these great works anyway, before or without the internet. Now, here's the thing I will say: I give thanks to ONE Dynasty for pretty much fulfilling a prophecy. You just mentioned 1991. 1991 is when I had my personal book of life open up. That was the year of my opening. I spoke about the second resurrection or my born again, June 13th, 1985. My book of life opened up right around, I'm gonna say I know it was before June 26th. I do know that because June 26th, 1991 is when I came in contact with a book called Book to the Five Percenters. Um, I came across this book at a place called Afghan Fest in Norfolk, Virginia. Shout out to Norfolk and Afghan Fest. But it was during that time I was already studying and reading a variety of different books. Um, but I was a punch out guy at the time for an apartment complex. And I used to pray and meditate every morning religiously, same time. Um, but I remember the morning is when my book of life opened up. I had my morning prayer, went to my state of meditation, went up to an apartment all by myself. Being a punch out person, my responsibility, and I got to say this because a lot of people don't know what a punch out person was. A punch out person was a person who worked with the maintenance man, make sure that the apartment was painted correctly, any spots that was left, check to make sure that if there was any leaks in the sink or little small stuff, right? So I spent a lot of time by myself. So I was in this particular apartment and I was working in the kitchen. I used to listen to a lot of music, of course, meditative music, or at that time, I think I was listening to the Poor Righteous Teachers. And I heard that voice on the inside of me say, from now on. Now I'm looking at the radio. And I cut the radio off, right? Because I actually thought it came from the radio. But no, no, no. That was the same voice that I heard in 1985. I heard it again in that apartment. The voice was my tone, the same tone that you're listening to now. It wasn't like Hollywood's version of, you understand?
Yeah.
There was a verse that I heard inside. Now, here's what made it unique and different this time around, because I'm in an apartment all by myself, an empty apartment, and I'm in the kitchen all by myself. So the first thing I heard from now on, and at that time from 1985 to 1991, a lot of things transpired. I learned how to defend myself. I ran up against a bully. Okay, and this is one of the things I'm a proud advocate of people who, especially when it comes to parents. I say one of the greatest investments that we can make is learning how to defend ourselves, especially when it comes to our children, because that's a whole nother issue when it comes to abuse and bullying. It's something that we have got to take time to make sure, besides gunplay, is for us to learn how to defend ourselves. Okay? So anyway, a lot transpired from 1985 to 1991. So after hearing that voice where it says, from now on, it spoke about all kind of things from that point. Um, from smoking and drinking and just doing things that a normal child at that time at the age of 23. 17 at one point, age of 23 at another point. Okay. Um, it says I was going to have a son by the age of 25. Shout out to my I guess you could say he's my not my oldest son. My oldest son is through adoption, but my first son by blood is who I like to call Ruach, or Daquan Felton, who's known as QTP. He's major in the spoken word and stuff like that. QTP. Shout out QTP. Okay. And it spoke about him coming, what he was not even aspiring to do, what he was almost like prophesied to do when it comes to sickle cell. He was born with sickle cell. So it told me I would have him first at the age of 25. And again, told me what his name was going to be. Told me that I was going to have a daughter afterwards. They didn't name her. But when I say that my book of life was opened up, that particular day and time in that apartment is as if someone had literally opened up a book and was reading to me about certain things that's even happening right now.
Whew, that's deep, and I can
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can relate. I can relate. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years as a broadcaster? Do you want to go further with this?
In 5 years, I want to be able to reach as many people as I possibly can. Definitely see um, the audience growing. We will aware you audience growing. Me being a part of O&E Dynasty as we continue to grow. Um, In 5 years, I definitely want to be able to control 99.9% of my time to the point where, and we talked about off air, instead of working for Caesar, so I can do more of the works of the Lord, as most people, you know, call or familiar with. Um, I can only imagine to be able to, with the time that I spend chasing the dollar, I want to have those dollars chasing me after 5 years, if not sooner.
It's nothing like being able to make money doing what you're passionate about, something that you love, something you enjoy. You know, that's what wake me up every morning. You know, this pandemic has really been a blessing to me. When a lot of people thought it was a curse and a lot of people thought it would come to hurt and destroy, it was a blessing to me because it helped me see me. It helped me discover things about me that I never thought I could do. It helped me find out who I was really. And I would have never broadcasting. Who thought I wasn't doing this? Who thought I would be doing two networks and about to do my own show? Who? No. Little old country girl from Levelland, South Carolina, place that a lot of people never heard of. I said, you know what? I see and hear people talk about them doing this and them doing this. I say, okay, why are they different from me? Who are they? Because the creator I know has no respect of a person. And if he do it for one, he'll do it for the next. So now I need to tap into what's inside of me. What's inside of me? All these gifts and talents that's been bestowed on the inside of us, we got to stir them up. It's already there. We got to walk in manifestation. I said no longer. When I got laid off from my job, I got mad at first. And then my sister reminded me, she said, you know what? She said, you don't remember a couple of weeks you was just saying you wish you could do this all the time? Do you wish you didn't have to go clock in at nobody else's job? She said, do you not remember saying that out loud? I said, yeah. I said, so who could I have been mad at? Nobody. So you know what I did? I started ordering my equipment. I started going on lives. I started doing whatever. This past Friday, guess where I was? I was speaking at a conference in Dubai from the comfort of my living from the comfort of my bedroom. My pastor told me a couple of months ago, he said, the gift that you got, he said, God will make room for your gift. He said, just be faithful over the little things. I stay humble. I stay being a blessing to people because I've learned that if you bless people, you'll get blessed back. Double what you pour out. Stop having your hands out. Start figuring out what you can do, what you can pull out of you that can help somebody else. You're doing that. You're doing that. And thank you. Thank you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. And I will continue. You're muted. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I was so busy getting caught up into the blessings that you were sharing with me. I was like, wow, I didn't know you had switched it and talked about me. Thank you.
Yeah. I just
I'm glad. I'm glad. You know what? A lot of people don't get, and I feel like you can confirm what I'm doing my best to convey is at times losing a mere job, which is just over broke. Look it up. Just over broke. They're going to pay you just enough to show back up Monday. And it's supposed to do that. So at times losing a just over broke is one of the best things that can happen.
that was the best thing that ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
And I will not go back. I have no regrets. I look forward to all that God has in store. I'm looking for him to do the same for you. I'm
Thank you.
looking for the universe to send everything that is needed for you to come up off this job so that you can do
Mm.
the work that you're purposed to do, so that
Right,
you can
right.
continue to walk in your truth and
I
continue to touch
received that.
lives
I
and
received
continue
that.
to touch lives. I declare and
It's a
decree
wake up
right
call.
now. I
Thank
declare and
you.
decree right now. I'm not gonna wait till I get off live to declare and decree. I declare and decree right now in the name of the Father. He said we
Thank
got to
you.
speak those things. Speak those
That's
things.
right.
We got that power. I mean, it's written in the word. And if the word is not the word, then but I believe the word. And the word I believe is not gonna become it's not gonna come back void. He's gonna watch over it until it's performed in your life. And I declare and decree that right now in the name of my Father.
Amen.
This time next year ain't gonna be no job.
Ugh.
Ain't
Amen.
gonna be
I
no job.
received that.
We got to
I
walk in
received that.
faith. We got to believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, faith. Say faith without works is dead. And then faith, he don't say it make it easy, but it make it
I'm glad
possible
you said that. I'm glad you said that. Now I'm going to add a remix, and that's good for us as the religious community, right?
for
Now, do
those.
you
Yeah,
mind if the Magic Man adds something to the so-called conscious community,
please do.
and we record it live, so you can't pretend that you didn't hear me say this yet?
Please, I want to know.
So, for the so-called conscious, what's the use of reading a whole bunch of information, right? Regardless to who's ever putting that information out,
Mm-hmm,
and you don't take time to apply that information.
mm-hmm,
So if you don't take time to apply the information, right, then it's pretty much pointless.
mm-hmm,
See, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's a comprehension.
mm-hmm,
And again, what makes this type of knowledge different than the norm is I encourage people to go beyond just reading for the sake of reading,
mm-hmm.
which is one step. Another major step is always lack of comprehension. Sometimes you got to get out those dictionaries and you got to research the author. What was that author's background? Because a lot of time when you really, really look at the author's background, like the dictator, the Webster, right? When you look at his background, be it religious or whatever, if we dig further enough, he didn't have everybody's interest in the best mind, which is why he incorporated everything associated with darkness as evil and bad. And if you really, really look at the older West, because now through Google and everything else, they're trying to update a whole lot of stuff that put themselves in positions of power. Now they try to pretend that didn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you research long enough, here's one would speak about racism. Racism, according to Webster, was anything that was against white, anything that was European. That's racism, right? So that means that you're supposed to accept any and everything that a European would do to you. You're just supposed to accept that. Something is wrong with that, man. Something is real wrong with that. And a lot of them know better. They know better. But see, here's the thing though. It's not just that they don't know.
You
Some of them
accept.
don't want you to know. Because if you know certain things, right, without having, and that's the sad thing about a lot of us is melanated original people. You got some of us still need that validation by other people. This is what made me and many people like me is I don't need that validation. It's okay, but I don't need that because I know who and what I am. And I know that our story started long before slavery. And I know that a lot of the stuff that they are saying is recent is ancient and old information. This is what I know. And I know that there's certain things about the connection that we have as children of mother and nature and father time or children of the most high. This is what I know. And I don't need them or anyone else to tell me outside of that. You get me? You get me?
I
So
got
once we start to know, right, and accept certain things, we can only make real life changes once we accept that. But a lot of people still waiting. And it's been 420 years, and now we're in the 11th month. So that's 420 years, I mean, since the so-called bondage, right? The most recent bondage that we've been in. And I like putting certain things out there. And you hear me quote this a lot on my show. That's Bereshith of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 13, where it speaks about the children of Abraham that's been confirmed. Not only is it confirmed throughout our Torah, throughout our Bible, Old Testament, that's Genesis chapter 15, verse 13, where it speaks about the children of Abraham will be taken in bondage, right, for 400 years. And they use a tribal name called the Amorites. If you look it up and you go beyond Webster and you start looking up the Amorites is a certain tribe, a descendant of one of Noah's descendants of Ham. But this is what the Europeans did to lie and put themselves in positions of power. Not only did they turn around and paint everything when it came to religion, from the Heavenly Father to the creation of Adam, to the angels, to the prophets, to the people who stand around with the prophets, and made all of them European. And you can tell me that's not racism? That's not racism.
Not in their eyes.
Right? And it opens the door for everything white is right. This is why most of them, bless their hearts, don't see nothing wrong. They don't see
Okay.
nothing wrong when a black man, woman, or child is killed. They don't see it as wrong. This is why the average melanated original person is so quick to kill someone who looks like me or you, but he'll let him or her get away with murder. So when all in all we send someone into the world like myself, not only do everybody stand accused, but we're going to have to be responsible for all our actions. And let me make something clear why this is being recorded. You are not talking to any enemy out here is going to keep doing that and getting away with it. You have convinced yourself that all things that you have done in this world is going to be forgiven. No, you have to pay for that. All the innocent blood that you shed, you're going to have to pay for that one way or another.
And
Because
you
you know what
speak
I'm
as the
doing? You know what
truth.
I'm doing, woman of God? I have
You
to do
speak the
this.
truth.
It's because one way or another, they even crept into our fold of Christianity and it convinced people that they can go out there and rape and murder and kill and do any and everything and get away with it. One of the greatest lies that they ever told, and they have the audacity to try to say that our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ forgive them for any and everything. Listen to that stupidity. Not only did it open the door for all kind of things like that that take place and never stop taking place and will continue to take place. Why? Because it's not making each individual, regardless to whatever your race, creed, or color, it's not making you responsible for your actions. It's not teaching you to teach your fellow man or woman equally. It teaches you not to see that the living God force is in every individual that has life. It's not teaching that. And at times I have to go hard. And one of the things I want to drive home is when we not only acknowledge and comprehend that the God force is moving more from the inside of you than outside of you. That's not contradicting no scripture. Why do you think it says that he blew into man, right? And the man became a living soul, which they mistranslate as spirit when the word is soul. You understand? That's why some of the stuff I have to put out and I have to put words and stuff behind it because I want people to not just comprehend, not just to hear me, but to be able to look these words up. And there's a difference between a soul and the spirit. And everybody that has a spirit don't have a soul. You understand? And they know this because they know the people who I was sent to primarily as soul people, the original people, we are affected emotionally more so than any other people on this planet. Why do you think we feel it? We feel the pain of when a black man, woman, or child is just killed worse than a dog, and nobody cares. See, most people think that when it comes to soul, it's just based on singing and dancing. Yes, we are gifted when it comes to that, right? But having soul makes us creative. Having soul allows us to be off of forgiveness. Having soul allows us to not only live, but us to become one, as I like to say, with all in all, as a child of the Most High. And if we are a child in our Heavenly Father and mothers, because conveniently, notice how religion did it now. Everything became male chauvinistic to the point where it's always the man doing this. And the woman, according to the women, always taking a bad seat. Sin came in the world based on a woman, based on that warped thought. And you wonder why women get blamed for everything. See, this day and time is making everybody responsible for their actions. And a lot of times I have to drive certain things home because now it's time for people not only comprehend certain things that's been hidden. And then when we uncover certain things that they did their best to hide, and for us to acknowledge me and you as children of the Most High, right? Because what's in us is equal to the God force on the outside of us, meaning that it's everywhere, meaning that it moved primarily from the inside. That's why when you plant seeds, it's always the inside. Why do you think when we get into the Lord's Prayer, it speaks about our Father where? In heaven, not outside. You understand? So it's always an inside thing. So that's why I had to come forth as the grand architect of the universe, because people are so used to outside misinformation. My words, well, let me scratch that because I'm not an egotist. Certain things that I have been inspired to share with the world that's non-me, beyond me. But me allowing myself to shut down and allow them to have their way with me, right? When I say all in all, it can be angelic beings, the ancestors, whatever you want to call them, the elders, the masters, whatever. It's when we take time to shut what I personally want to do, it becomes a whole new ordeal because they don't care about me as an individual. They don't care about you as an individual. They care
Wow.
about us as a whole. And the main people who they want to finally get it is the firstborn children of the Most High, children of nature. Once we stop accepting any and everything, once we really comprehend who and what we are and see ourselves as something great, we have nothing to do with hate. Once we start doing that, it's a wrap.
Amen.
It's a wrap.
I tell you, I definitely I have been inspired today. You definitely have dropped some knowledge on me, some things
Yeah.
that I didn't know, and you have definitely encouraged me today. I want those that are tuned in, because we do have some that are jumping on and off. I see, but we
Okay.
do have some that are tuned in. I want them to know how they can follow you. Of course, I have your Facebook page. If you could share your social media contacts, how they can get in contact with you. I have a couple of links that I'm going to share up on the screen so people can reach out. But if you would share as well.
Um, you can find me Sound Therapy with the Magic Man on YouTube, and that's Magic with a J instead of a G. Um, to get some type of better comprehension on sound therapy, than one of the greatest interviews that was actually tabled over 3 years ago. You can look up my travel name, which is HUNI. That's HUNIBAK, which is two separate words. And then my last family name is ATUN, interview at WNT9 Radio, where it's more of an introduction to what sound therapy is, the four tenets of sound therapy, where the workman tools that I use is music, science, art, and supreme mathematics. Okay. Pretty soon that's coming out in the form of documentation books and so on and so forth. Um, but it gives us a chance to not only heal ourselves from so much self hatred and hatred that we receive from so many other people, right? for us to be able to use music in the form of allowing us to heal, allowing other people to heal. Not only do it allow us to be able to gather together, because a lot of the ancients, especially when it came to R&B, as well as certain gospels and the way that they was composing certain songs, they hid certain things into the music because they knew a certain time our music was going to go through a change, which explains why a lot of the youth become millionaires by calling women out of their name now. No other genre, especially in so-called hip hop, right? I used to love hip hop. I'm a performing artist, but I think it's convenient that no other genre of music that will actually pay an artist millions of dollars to disrespect their own mothers, disrespect their own aunts, call their aunts all kind of bees and hoes and all that kind of stuff like that. And these people are filthy, not even filthy rich. These are wealthy people that's doing that. But we got the responsibility to support real artists that's not only respectful for the art form, but to make sure that they can make good money to look out for themselves and their family, especially ones that don't have to overstep their bounds and call women on outside of their name, as well as sisters who don't have to come with everything and have to be sexual in order to appease another people form of entertainment. I mean, I
No,
respect the art form, but it's a shame that certain things that we have to resort to just for us to get a little piece of the action, so to speak.
well, they definitely need to tune in. I went on your page, and I got some
Okay.
information. So I'm coming you up for a second,
Okay.
so I can share this about your show that's
Okay.
coming up on the 7th.
Is it? Is it?
That's what you got
It?
posted Thursday, 11/7. Oh no, that may be an
Oh,
old
no,
show.
that was last year.
Okay.
The one that's
So
coming
it's
up.
a replay. It's a replay. So they
Yeah,
can
that's a
go
replay.
over
Yeah,
and hear
that's a
that.
replay so they can get familiar. The one that's coming up should be on November 19th, I believe. I'm not
Yeah,
looking at the calendar, but I think it's
it
the 19th.
is. It is
It's
because
the
mine.
third and final part, and I want to put this out there to you because you an author. It's called "Let Us Rewrite Our Own Stories." Let us take time to rewrite our own stories, y'all, because we're going through a conflict between history, their version of it, and mystery, my and our version of certain things that took place. And if we look at the way that Hollywood, and my time is limited, so I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I'm listening and watching a serious trend where we always die at the end. Why can't we ride off into the sunset like other people? Why must we get killed within the first 5 or 10 minutes of a movie? And that's entertainment.
Can I share something with you?
Yeah, please.
So I started this organization, AALAC, the African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign, in 2016. I started it because I wanted to be able to provide a platform for brown authors because they don't share our stuff. I don't care where you go. You can go into any major bookstore. You can go into any major store that sells books. If we in there, we in a little section and we in the corner.
Mhm.
They do not give our stories, our messages, the things that we need to share, the time of the day. So I said I was going to create a platform that was going to give authors that opportunity, not just here in America, but across the world and all four
Mhm.
corners of the earth. Because we are out there, we have messages, and our generation need to know these people that are coming after us. They need to know our story, and they need to know it from us. They don't need to know it from
Mhm.
people that are writing our story. So it's
Mhm.
not a coincidence that you said that was ordained, because people
Oh
need to
yeah.
know that you have you have the authority, you have the power within you to create your own destiny. No one has that power. You have that power. The power is within you. I broke the spirit broke down that word to me.
Mm.
The P, the O, the W, the E, the R. I shared it last night on our broadcast.
And I love it. That's a poster. I had to steal that one. I'm confessing right now in front of everybody. When you posted that under, I think it was Jerry Petito, and you know, me and Jerry got a serious thing going on, man. I love that sister there. She put in a lot of work for the Magic Man. Like I
He
said, she's my personal Frank Sinatra. You know. But
he will
when I
not
saw you
stop
do
with
that
the
power,
words. He won't stop with the words.
huh?
He won't stop with the words.
Yeah.
It's just like the words. He breaking the words down and everything. Everything that's going to empower my people. That's going to help my people come out of what
Mm.
they in. You know, I'm whatever I got to do. Like I'm like you now. Whatever I got to do to let people know that you got to love yourself and the hope that you hoping for out here in this world. You got to get it from you. You can't depend on nobody. You got to take that hand and stop reaching for a handout and pull it in and figure out what you can pull out of you. Pull out you. Pull out you because it's in you. Everything you need is in you. You got to pull it out. That means you got to position yourself around people. Position. That's what the P stand for. Position. To be an overcomer. You got to be a willing vessel to empower others. Don't just think about yourself, but think about those that you can empower. And when you do that, you're showing your resilience. That's what you're doing. You're showing your power right now because you haven't given up. You've been on this journey now 35 years. You've been on this journey. You've not given up. You've been resilient. You've positioned
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie and try to say there wasn't times I didn't think about it. I came close. Trust me.
That's
Because
life.
especially with my life calling, you know, was it your show? No, I think it was Strictly Business. E. Davis. I shared on her show that the very few, the people primarily who I was sent to has been the most critical of me. You know, but it's the ones who primarily I was sent to because it's not a form of hatred. First of all, that's wrong energy. That's bad energy. I ain't got time to hate no one. I don't love everyone either. I got a human love. You understand? The love that's empowered and generated by the Heavenly Father for human and living beings. But when I see love, I'm talking about a personal love, which is for my family. The personal love I'm talking about is somebody that would drop anything I'm doing that come at the aid of my family. And when I show up, I'm not coming to tap dance, I'm not coming to sing, break dance, none of that. I ain't coming to march, sing, dance, none of that when it comes to my family. You know, so I can't do that for everybody. I won't do that for everybody. Why? Because everybody is not going to do that for me.
Amen. I have enjoyed this. I tell you, this has been the best hour and 18 minutes. I tell
Okay.
you, this has been amazing. I want you before we leave, please. I want you to share again the name of your show and how people can follow you. I want them to be able to reach out to you because I want people to be awoke in this season. We can't go into 2021 the same way in 2020. It's time to wake up. It's time for us to walk in all that we are purposed to do.
Walking in our purpose. I love it. I love it. Well,
All we
thank you
purpose.
so much. First of all, before I do that, thank you so much for giving me um, my ninth and actually first live interview that I had pretty much since I've been doing broadcasting and so many other things. I thank the Heavenly Father for the divine gift uh, that you have been inspired, walking in your purpose. Uh, Thank you so much for being a part of O&E. And I know that we're able to not even just go to another level, but with the works in which you are doing, Um, I know that it's beneficial for me as well. So we have to collaborate when it comes to business as well. Okay. And so I definitely thank you so much. Thank you for not only being an inspiration and certain things that you posted on my behalf. Thank you so much for sharing um, and being able to be open. A lot of times I come in contact with people, and a lot of people are closed minded. And one of the greatest things that my upline, my godfather, said to me is never ever open up a book with a closed mind. Okay. Um, I know there's many different ways in which I have to deliver certain things. So, having said that, is coming up November the 19th, Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, part of Blog Talk Radio. We will aware you is I'll be uh, doing the third and final part of a three-part series when it comes to taking your soul back. That was part one. Part two was speaking about the games people play, the race car versus white privilege. Let the games begin to end. The third and final part of this three-part series is about let us rewrite our stories. Okay, so that would be November 19th, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Um, there's many different ways in which you can tune in to find out more about me, the interviews. I do these audio visuals. Become and subscribe to my YouTube page, Sound Therapy with the Magic Man, and also be on the lookout for two books that I'm soon to release. One is The Master's Way Perspective, and the other is The Science of Becoming Instead of Learning. I have to put out that second book because most people is caught up for not just reading for the sake of reading, but they're caught up in learning. Learning is one of the most addictive things. You know, when it comes to addiction, most people don't realize that information is also addictive because we're in the information age now. So a lot of information that's out there isn't so-called positive or good information, but because people have been addicted to learning, and just like somebody who constantly goes to school, but they never actually graduate, they're lifetime people who just study. So when it comes to doing the knowledge, I want people to get beyond just, learning for the sake of learning. Take time to become what it is that we have been told and, and taught about. So these two books are major.
Wow. And I'm glad you said that because I shared that on the conference that I spoke on Friday. You know,
Mhm.
we've been getting the education, we've been going to school, we've been getting the teaching, we've been getting the schooling, we've been getting all that. We got all that. Now it's time for us to get in a position to use all that stuff, to all that
Power.
teaching, all that. We got to be empowered now. So that means if you're in a position, so if you're in a position and you can show me something or show me the way, lead me, guide me, don't just have this information that you have and in a position to help somebody and not even willing to help somebody. That's how we empower people, by helping somebody. You coming on here and you sharing today, you opening up and you letting everybody know they get to see that voice now. They get to see that face behind that voice so they can relate to you. So you come on here, you be transparent, you share. People get it. Now it's time for them to come tune into your show and get what they need to do to activate all this information that they're getting. So now it's time to activate those things and see the manifestation of all this learning and all this teaching that we've been doing over these years. Because the work that you've done over these 35 years, trust me, it is not in vain. It is not in vain. People have heard. Now it's time for all those that have sit and watched and listened. It's time for them to activate those things in their life and let their fruit come forth. because
I
that's
love
what
it.
it's about now.
Amen.
That's what it's about now.
Amen.
It ain't you've done what you have done, what you was called to do over the last 35 years. Your journey has been your journey, and you've done what you were supposed to do. Now it's time for you to watch the manifestation of your fruit. So those that have listened, it's time for them to come forth. It's time for them to produce.
A lot of seeds was planted.
It's
I
time for
want to say
them
one
to
more thing before we end, if you don't mind. Let me say one more thing before we end.
go ahead.
That's a saying that the Lord and Savior Jesus was quoted, where it says, here's where the misinformation comes in at. And the saying was, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." As a person who studied many different words and able to see it for what it is, okay, that's one of the greatest mistranslations. It really, really says, "You shall know the truth, and that truth will make you free, not set you free."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, it's a difference. Now, once you get the divine truth, you
Mm-hmm.
got to be able to use that same truth
Mm-hmm.
to make you free,
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
because the word "set" is not in there.
Yeah. So matter of fact, I was sitting. Matter of fact, I was listening to a call this weekend. I one of the shows that I usually do on Saturdays. I wasn't feeling good yesterday, so I didn't get to do the show, but I was listening. And matter of fact, I think that was one of the things that they said on there yesterday because I heard that.
Mm.
I heard that, and I heard that recently. So it was one of them ladies that said that on yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's been a
But
pleasure. Thank you so much.
it has been a lot of stuff, and we're gonna have to do this again. I definitely I'm
Oh,
excited. I'm
so
excited
I
about.
earned a part two. I earned a part two then.
I am definitely excited about having you a part of my new show coming out
Okay.
in January. I'm definitely glad to have you a part of that. Motivational Monday. We're gonna be motivating people, encouraging
Okay.
people to walk in their truth. We want them to be encouraged, empowered. 2021 is not going to be like 2020. And every day should be a new day. It should be a new day
Oh,
of us walking in our and owning our truth and trying to be empowered and living in the present. Go ahead.
let
I'm
me
sorry.
let me do one more thing if you don't mind, because it's very important and this is real time information right quick. A lot of people is upset at recent events.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we can complain about it. We can be upset about it, but it's not so much what happens, but how you react to it. And one of the things that I can say with the last administration, as well as this one that was newly elected, in regards to whatever they do, it's primarily, because that's secondary, it's primarily what we do.
Amen.
Okay. And those of us who are real, knowing that our creator, ancestors, whatever you want to call them, don't just, I mean, it's not even about, the political system. It's about us using a system that was in place before the foundation of the world.
Ah, I'm telling you
Okay.
because I told them. I told these people. Everybody was going crazy. Everybody been.
Yeah.
I don't care who in office, and
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it real. And
Yeah.
I come to this realization a couple of years ago. I've been so focused on elections and all this some years back, but I come to this realization a couple of years ago. These people, all of them got agendas. All of them are about what they they gonna tell you what they want to tell you to get what they want from you. So now it's
Wow.
all about you and your beliefs because you can't allow other people to affect you and what you're called to do and what you're supposed to be doing. So I said, I don't care who in the White House. I don't care who in the Black House. I don't care who in the Blue House. I don't care who in nobody's house but my house. And my house is this house right
Right.
here.
Right.
I can't worry about no other houses This is the only house I can worry about. This house right here. Because this house got to be in order. This house right here got to be in order. This house right here got to be in
I
line.
love it.
This house
Amen.
right here.
Amen.
Can't worry about the other houses. But for this house, I got a higher power that I answer to and that I speak to on a daily basis that keep me in check.
Mm.
No, I'm a work in progress. I'm still growing. I'm still developing every day. Every day. Trying to learn something new, trying to be set free from some more stuff. Because every day something else come at me. But you know what? I have resilience. I'm determined. I will not give up. I will stay on this race until the end. Until
Wow.
until they put me in the ground, I guess. And then I guess I'll
I
come back
got it.
another way. But
Amen.
oh well, hey, it is what it is. I thank you. I love you, my brother. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you so much. No matter what it
Wow.
looked like,
Wow.
no matter what it looked like, you stay on this journey. Stay on this journey. Stay on this journey. Is there anything that you would like to leave with those that are tuned in before we leave? I want your words to be the last
Well,
word before I close.
I can't, I can't disappoint anyone who's tuning in to this show live, as well as when they listen to my show, or even when this one's archived. I always give thanks to all in all, who's in all, through all, above, and encompassing all. And on that note, join me in about 2 weeks for the third and final part of a three-part series about taking our soul back. Let us rewrite our own stories. Thank you. And
Thank
may
you.
all in all continue to bless you, okay?
Thank you. You have been tuned in to D.A.M.O.N Speaks. Of course, I am your host, Commissioner Angela Thomas Smith. So I tell you, it is always an honor and a privilege to be able to come before you and to bring one of my co-hosts on to share about their truth, their journey, and their shows. Please, I hope that you would tune in and be aware. Tune in to HUNI ATUN, aka the Magic Man. We will aware you. He will be on Thursday, November the 19th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're over on Blog Talk Radio. You can search Ngozi Time. I want to challenge you guys to follow him. Go over on Facebook. Follow him. Wake up. Until next time, be blessed.